Namaskar, dear seekers, and welcome to our live stream. So, hope everyone is fine today. So, today we have a live stream about questions and answers. That means any questions that you have about spirituality or spiritual practice, you can ask. So, of course, as now you can even write on the chat on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We have two seekers that are moderating our comments, and then I can take all your comments. Some of you also will be coming like live panel, so they can also ask their questions as I will be speaking. Otherwise, all your questions are welcome. So at first, I would like to introduce myself in short. My name is Siriak. I'm practicing spirituality for more than 23 years now. I come from France, and I live in India for more than 10 years in an ashram in India. And presently, I am in Germany. We are traveling around Europe, but presently I'm stationed in Germany. So how we will proceed for our live stream, it is for around 1 hour durations, and we'll just go through all your questions. But before we start, what we do for around 2 minutes, we will play a divine name in low tone in the background. It is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It is a divine name. It helps to reduce the negativity and helps to increase concentrations. So you can close your eyes, you can do your own meditation, you can do your own chanting if you are repeating already a divine name or a mantra. Otherwise, you can just close your eyes and concentrate on your own breath. We'll do that for 2 minutes. And then after that, we will start with a live stream.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate.
So Namaskar, dear seeker. If you are joining now, I will just share in short. Today we have our series, and it is question answers. So you can ask any questions that you have about spirituality or spiritual practice. So don't hesitate to ask questions. We have two seekers that will be moderating your questions. Some of you also will be coming live and share questions. So just wanted to see now, because we can maybe start with already some questions have come. So there is a questions already from Akshat Egde, and your question is how to reduce karma in a very fast manner. So actually it's a good question. So the concept of destiny and karma, and due to that we experience either happiness or unhappiness. It is from the different deeds that we have done in our previous life. So, and then due to that we experience happiness or unhappiness. So see just how we can, of course, reduce karma, and we can reduce it fast or faster. But that depends on our spiritual practice. So spiritual practice is a solution, because you see, destiny or karma is from the spiritual dimension. So for that, spiritual measure or spiritual practice is required. And intense, if we do intense spiritual practice, then we can reduce our destiny faster. But just to understand that it takes time. Let's say if I have a disease, it cannot just go within few days. It has to take a course of medicine. It takes time depending on the severity of the illness. Similarly, some are maybe having medium destiny or severe destiny. So it may take more time. But the solution is, even though someone may be having severe destiny, it is possible to reduce it and overcome it, but it's a question of time. But more important, many seekers who have practiced spirituality, what they have experienced, what they experience is when they started chanting God's name or working on overcoming defect of personality or attending satsang online meeting, they experience that the severity of the problems they used to have started to reduce, and also they start getting more energy, or they start to feel to be able to tolerate what the situations they are facing. So spiritual practice helps to reduce destiny, and as well give us that stamina, as well as that energy to face the destiny we have. There is another question from Unlighted Mind. How can I work with your foundation in Germany? See, about what is more important is what can you do to progress spiritually, because ultimately that is the most important, and we should make spiritual progress. So for that we have to work on ourselves. We can work on overcoming defect of personality. You can start trying to see how you can repeat God's name as per your religion. If you are not attached, then you can repeat the universal mind, universal chant. So that is important, because ultimately, of course, you can always help in different ways. Like, let's say, the website. So how you can spread it to others in your social media, friends, relatives, because there are so many articles. We have a lot of knowledge free of charge on our website, as well as mini video and a YouTube channel. So all those knowledge that you can share it to others. But more important is to also work on your own self to make spiritual progress. I will go now on, I think someone is there online, that is Tulane, I think from South Africa. So we will enter Tulane on our live panel. Just a question of few seconds to be able to Tulane to enter. I don't know, Tulane, if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself, you can present yourself, and you can, from where you're from, and ask your questions.
Namaskar, everyone.
Hello, Tulane.
In Johannesburg. Yes.
Rani, you can. It is nice you are here. If you can share you can ask or share your questions.
My question is, I have a trouble, which I believe is a financial blockage, which I don't understand how it came about, but everything that has to do with money, there's a blockage. So I wanted to check what is the cause and how to unblock it.
Okay, so if I understand that anytime there is something with money, there is always some problem or obstacle, and you become
Yes.
broken. If I understand.
Yes.
So to see, there are two things that can be there ultimately, as we share what we experience is actually destiny. So whether the person is rich or the person is poor can be because of destiny. So the person has to go with it, to live with that. So some people, despite best effort, they are not able to go for a good living. But actually, in this aspect of destiny, some people may not know that sometimes a problem caused by departed ancestors can cause financial problem, or we can say negative energy can create problem to the person. Either the person is not able to earn money properly, or the money disappear, or different problems happen. So that is also
Okay.
what part of destiny, but it is in particular this aspect caused by departed ancestors. That means when somebody passed away or died, and they are not able to continue their journey in the afterlife because they may not have enough spiritual energy. So they can come back to the descendant and can cause different type of problem. And one of that problem can be that the person always face financial difficulties. It can be for other financial, like marital problem, financial difficulties, so are not able to conceive. It depends. The variety is large. What we suggest, Tulani, what you can try to do, we will paste in the chat our sections on our website about departed ancestors. But as a solution, you can repeat the divine name. It's also a mantra called Shri Gurudev Datta. So this is something that you can repeat daily for around 2 to 3 hours per day. See, but what is also something you can repeat. It is just for you only to do. Nobody else can do it for you. So whatever obstacles that if it is there due to departed ancestor may be reduced. But just to understand that the aim in spiritual practice that of course you should overcome the difficulties that you are facing, but to understand also that we should strive to progress spiritually also. So I can understand that sometimes it's not easy when we face financial difficulty. Our mind is busy with that to try to go for a living. But at that time during activity, you can repeat God's name also. That will help you to give you some stability.
Okay.
So
I
you can
understand.
Tulani, we will paste the link in the chat, and you can study. And if you have questions, you can always ask question on our live chat. So don't hesitate to ask question anytime.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tulani.
Gratitude to God.
Gratitude to God, Tulani. I will go back to now our questions online. There is also, after that, we will come back to our live panel where also somebody else is there. So there is another question from Ariane B. Is it better to chant the universal chant or the Shri Gurudev Datta chant first during the day? Does it matter what order you do the chant? So Ariane B is a good question. Usually what we recommend, because it's a Shri Gurudev Datta, it's a protective chant. So that means that it helps us, it protects us from departed ancestors. So that's why we recommend and suggest that it is better to complete the Shri Gurudev Datta in the morning, it is better. And so that after that, when you go for your different work or activity, then it gives some protective chant. So of course you can see what helps you better. It depends on the intensity of the problem that you may be facing. If there is less problem, you can try and see what helps you the most. But as the principle, it is better to chant first the protective chant. There is another question from Savita Savi. Why is cancer not cured despite spiritual practice? So Savita, it's a good question, actually, to understand that cancer is an incurable disease. Fortunately, some people are able to overcome it, but just to understand it is 100% destiny, and it will depend on the severity of the destiny that the person may face. So I would like to share that an experience that I met one young boy that was in 2019 in Berlin, actually, and he was a young boy of 20 years old, and he was living happily, was having girlfriend, and suddenly he had cancer, and he was admitted, and it went very fast for him, and he knew that he may have only a few months to live. So he started to join our online meeting, online satsang. And actually, by that time I was in Germany. I was traveling, and I went to meet him in the hospital. And what happened is, we were sitting in the cafeteria, and I was talking with his mother and him, and all around there were doctors, and all these doctors were just oblivious of this aspect of destiny. They just look at the aspect of physical only. And he knew that he has only short time to live, so he just chanted God's name. And we don't know, after that, for some time after, we saw that he was not existing in, like on YouTube, Facebook, so he must have passed away. But just to understand that what we carry in the afterlife, whatever earning we have or anything we have, we don't carry anything with us, but we carry our spiritual wealth. So whatever spiritual practice we do, we carry in the next birth. But to come back to your questions, as you said, see, depending on the intensity of our spiritual practice and depending on the severity of our destiny, for some people they may be able to overcome to a great extent. So some people, what happened, they may be able to live longer, few more months, few more years. I also met in long time, this was in 2001 in India, one young lady from Nepal, and doctor says that she had only few months to live, and she decided she wanted to die in ashram. And I met her a few times, and actually, because she was doing spiritual practice, she continued to live for more than 1 year. Actually, the doctor told her that only few months was remaining. And due to that, she was able to do much more spiritual practice. As per destiny, she had to die. But because of the spiritual practice she did, then she was able to progress spiritually and probably come back again at a higher level. So I can understand that spiritual practice may or may not cure the problems that we have due to the destiny. But one thing is for sure, if anyway, we have to endure or face this destiny. But if we practice spirituality, then in the next birth, we will have a better destiny. And then we make spiritual progress also. There is another question from Vasim Shedid. How can I heal emotional anger trauma that is stuck in my lower stomach? So just to understand, Vasim, whether is it a trauma that you faced as a situations when you were younger, or I don't know, or it is just a feeling or an experience that something is stuck at your lower stomach. So just when it comes to anger, there is this aspect of overcoming defect of personality. So even though we know we should not get angry, and we don't want to get angry, but actually at that time, our mind now overpower our intellect, and then we get angry. So this is process of overcoming personality defect that is the founder or the source of inspiration of SSRF, His Holiness Dr. Attavuli, have created this process of how to overcome defect of personality. So this process of taking autosuggestions, this is a specific sentence that is tailor-made to us, that we repeat and address an exact situations that create, let's say, anger in us. So if you repeat that a number of times, that what it happened, it create a new positive impression in our subconscious mind, and then we are able to control our reactions, our anger. It is a process, it takes time. And in our online satsang, that is our online meeting, everyone is welcome. You can learn this process, how to yourself learn to overcome your personality defect. And when it comes to trauma, if it was a traumatic event, that we reckon also this process of overcoming personality defect helps. It also helps a lot to reduce. But at the same time, you can always also visit a psychologist, because when it is a traumatic event, sometimes it is important because we have to express what has happened and to get perspective or solutions as per the medical, psychologist medical. So I will go back now to the live panel, because I think somehow here is Aji, so we can welcome Aji. Aji, we will make you enter the live panel. At that time, you can share your name as well as your country, and then you can ask your questions. I think she's having connecting problem. Namaskar, Aji. Hello, how are you? Can you hear us? No, she seems to have. Hello, Aji. I don't know if you can unmute yourself and then you can share your name and your questions. Huh? Okay, so what I will do, I will go back to the questions because it seems we are having some technical problem. So there is another question from Akshat. Just let me go back to the panel. It seems that Aji, if you can unmute yourself and if you can share your name and questions, no? It seems that
Namaskar. Aji from Dubai. Dada, I wrote that about the PDR.
This is, if you can just speak softly and so that we can hear.
Yes, Dada.
Slowly.
Yeah, it's about the PDR. How we overcome PDR defects and ego. That's the one that I'm asked.
Okay.
The PDR.
From which country you are from?
I'm from Dubai. Dubai. I'm in Dubai actually, Dada. I'm a seeker. SSR.
Okay, so your question is how to work on overcoming defect of personality and ego.
Yes. That thought came that day when I was reading the question. That's why I wrote it, Dada.
Okay. So see, there is something, this process, we have articles on our website that explains the process, as well as we have those online, the free satsang online meeting where you can join, and that will help you to, because ultimately the process is quite simple. First we have to do self-introspection. That means to study where we have struggle with different situations, whether it is anger, emotionalism, whether it is insecurity, fear, worry, impatience. It depends, no? So until unless we study ourselves during the day, how we react or behave in different situations. So then we need to write them down. Then we will understand the incorrect behavior or reactions that we have. And then we try to understand which personality defect it is. And then from that, we try to see how to frame this autosuggestions technique. It is something that we can online, the article is there, but to be able to do it that's why on our platform of online meeting and satsang, you get that help to be able to frame these autosuggestions. After that, yourself have to repeat it. Once you have those ready-made sentence, you have to plan and make sure you repeat those sentences or at least more than 15 times a day. That means it is small sessions of repeating that sentence 5 times. That is one session, and to try at least 3 to 5 sessions per day with some interval of few hours. So this practice is a matter of practice as well as discipline and self-introspections. But of course, initially to do it by self, that's why you can get their help if you come in our online satsangs. Ajif, were you able to hear, or you can on our website?
Yes, I'm able to hear that.
Okay.
I'm able to hear that.
Okay, Ajif. So you understood the point, no?
Yes, I understood. I'll try
Okay.
it because I went back. I will do it. Start in doing the proper PDR process.
Yeah, okay, that's good then. Okay.
Yes. Gratitude. That.
Okay, gratitude, Ajif. So we'll
Gratitude.
go back to the questions. Or the question is from Akshat Ekde. How often we should do donations? See, actually, Akshat, there is as per the capacity. This is one step. We can donate as per our capacity, as per what we can. There are aspects of spiritual practice like overcoming defect of personality, chanting God's name, attending online meetings, satsangs, donating to a cause, also to a spiritual cause. So that is also one aspect. But of course, here it is as per the capacity, as per what the person can do. So every donation is welcome. Huh? For us, we are a non-profit organization. All our live stream are free of charge. So of course, we welcome every donation that helps us and support our mission to spread spirituality. There is another question from Tamara William. How can I increase concentrations and spiritual emotion when chanting name of God? So Tamara William, it's a good question that already you are repeating God's name and then you want to experience more concentrations or spiritual emotion. So when it comes first to concentrations, so what actually stops us to achieve concentration? It is different thoughts in our mind. And the different thoughts are generated by different impressions that we have, whether it is anger, emotions, worry, fear, stress. They generate thoughts in our mind. So that's why just chanting or trying to meditate is not enough. If we try to also work on overcoming those thoughts by working on overcoming those defects within self, then what will happen? Those thoughts will reduce. See, I will give an simple example. Let's say I was frustrated due to one situation with some colleagues or to some friends. So it remains stuck in my mind. It keeps playing in my mind wherever I go, whether I'm at work, whether I'm in car, whether I go back home, it follows me because those situations are unresolved. And we don't have solutions, no? So that's why this autosuggestion, when we start applying a spiritual remedy like these autosuggestions or giving a perspective, then our mind become pacified. Let's say if we start telling, whenever I remember how my friend spoke to me incorrectly, I will realize that it can happen, so I will remain calm. So what happened? Our mind become cool. Our mind become stopped to have those thoughts. So like that, those thoughts stop to get activated in our mind. And this is by this process of giving this autosuggestion technique or perspective. So that's why we have solutions to reduce those thoughts. Otherwise, what we do, we try to chant, we try to meditate with our own muscle. And then when there are too many thoughts, we cannot achieve concentration. But if we, unless we practice for many years chanting or meditations, then we are able to achieve easily concentrations. So that's why, Tamara, you can try to do this aspect also, to see what thoughts are disturbing you when you try to achieve concentrations. And automatically what happens when mind is not active, then automatically you can enter meditation of concentration in a very short time. And that is the same thing. At the same time, when we are able to achieve concentration, our mind is cooled down. At that time, it is easier also to experience spiritual emotion. Because we have concentration, we are able to focus on the God of our liking, or the God that we feel close to. And it is easier to experience spiritual emotion. There is another question from NK. What to do when people take you for granted? They expect you to keep doing things for them without doing anything in return. So see, NK, depending on this situation now, definitely it happens depending on your personality, with whom you are, whether you are married, whether it is your family members, or whether it is your spouse or husband. So, and then how we are, we feel that taking us for granted. So see, we may not be able so much to change others. So the way we are and how others are, or how they respond to us. But what we can do, we can change ourselves by working on expectations or by anger. So we can remain more calm, more stable. And automatically what happens when we are more calm or more stable, then we are able to respond better to the situations. So of course, after that, let's say, if I have insecurity, then I will not be able to tell somebody that I don't want to do that. And then the person take advantage, So we have to work on reducing insecurity or emotionalism. And then what happens when our emotionalism or insecurity become less? Then we are able to say, I don't want to do that. And automatically the person may stop or may not stop. After that, more important is to understand. That's why we have to see how to change ourselves. I will just go back to see in the live panel if any person is... No, for the moment, we don't have... I will go back to the questions. Also from NK, you just also the question you ask also, if the people expect things from you, let's say. So same thing. It is like that, but they may be expecting something from you as we may be expecting something from others. So the same thing, ultimately, we have to change ourselves, not others. But we can always say also, but do we have that sometimes courage to be able to tell others, see, what you do is not correct? That we should be able to say also. There's another question from Krudi Rambose, how to relieve my mind? So Krudi Rambose, I don't know if you heard the previous questions. two questions before, where I explained how so many sorts of our mind is active because of worry, fear, stress. We get many thoughts. So our mind is constantly active. We are not able to stop it, even though sometimes we want our mind to just stop. So that's why this aspect of chanting God's name. Because what happens when we chant God's name, it gives one thought to the mind. So it reduced to some extent the number of thoughts coming from our subconscious mind. So that one aspect is that is repeating God's name. It can be as per your religion, or if you are not attached, you can repeat the universal chant. Otherwise, what you can do also is to work on this overcoming defect of personality. What are the impression in you or defect in you? Some people don't like the word defect, no? So I would say shortcoming. See, let's say I'm getting worried, or I have anxiety or fear. That will give many thoughts to my mind. That's why I can see how to work on reducing my fears, how to work on reducing my anxiety. So that is this process of overcoming defect or personality. That's why everyone is welcome to come to this online satsang. We'll paste also in the chat. We might have pasted already since the beginning, but we will paste again. So everyone is welcome to this satsang. See, in spirituality, there is no secret. Same. If we want to overcome and reduce activity of our mind, we have to work on it. And then what happens? Our mind become less active. Then we feel relief. Then we are able to experience after calmness, happiness. Because when mind is so active, we can't feel rest, we can't feel happy. It's difficult. We feel stress easily. There is another question from Enlightened Mind. Please explain to us how to strengthen spiritual emotion. So first is to understand this spiritual emotion is this awareness of God's presence, that God is present around me and God is with me. That is actually what we call spiritual emotion. So for that, we have to practice spirituality. See, why we can't experience that God is everywhere? Because of our ego, because of mind. We feel, I am somebody, I am someone. We believe in our mind, what we feel, what we think. So it is difficult to experience God's presence. That's why first to study also, to learn about the vastness and dimension of spirituality. So reading different articles make us understand spirituality, spiritual science, knowledge. Then we start understanding that God is everywhere. Then what happened? Because of this knowledge, our ego become less. We feel, I don't know everything. There is science much more than that. And at the same time, if we work on overcoming defect within oneself, I know, or different defect, then we become more humble. We start listening. We start to become more receptive. And then automatically, then we are able to experience spiritual emotion much more. So it's good if you already experience spiritual emotion is very good, and to increase it. So that's why practice spirituality is important. Study, overcoming defect of personality, overcoming, reducing ego within oneself. So this is the different steps we can do. Another question from Maria Josefa Narita. I got internship, so I got limited time every day. How can I do spiritual practice when I don't have that much time? So Maria, I can understand because you are study, but what you can do, see what you can do, you can chant God's name, because repeating God's name can be done anywhere, anytime. So of course, when you study, you have to concentrate. But when you walk, or if you take tram or metro, or sometimes small activity that you do, shower, cooking, at that time we can chant God related. At that time, 80% of our thoughts are unnecessary. So this time you can utilize to repeat God's name within oneself. There's another question from Dai Nguyen. My question is about way of chanting to counter the fast-paced modern life. I was trying to prioritize time to sit down and chant in meditation posture, but someday I could not do it for 2-3 hours. But during activity, I was chanting and concentration as well. Does it have to be sit-down meditation for the maximum impact, or is it concentration in most important? See, actually, whatever we can do with sit-down concentration will help us. I mean, it's as a time to achieve concentrations. But the other part, you can chant during activity when you are not able to sit down. Because all this time during random activity, it helps us to chant. But what you can do also, see, ultimately chanting is just one step of spiritual practice. So after that, you can start also to work on overcoming defect within oneself. So let's say you are doing 2-3 hours. So you can start doing 2 hours chanting, 1 hour to work on reducing defect within oneself. See, at that time now, when there is no more defect within oneself, then mind is not active. Then whether you are sitting or not sitting, you are in a meditative state only. That's why chanting only God's name or meditation is one path, but it takes a long time to be able to achieve that state. That whether we are doing an activity, we are able to be in a concentration or in a meditative state. That's why if we chanting God's name and working on overcoming defect within oneself, then the progress is faster. There's another question from Subiraja: how to overcome repetitive negative behaviors? To do a lot of, you said, I do a lot of chanting. So Subiraja, same thing. See, why sometimes we may have repeating negative behaviors. So either it is an impression in us, whether I get angry or I do a bad act. So that habit is there. So that's why that can be, there are two aspects to it. One, we have to tackle it at the level of overcoming this to do with autosuggestions. Let's say, whenever I feel to do this, I will realize it is improper. So I will stop and start chanting. So we stop ourselves from acting in an incorrect behavior. So this is something that helps a lot to do this type of autosuggestions. So we can help you, definitely. You can always write on our live chat or come to satsang. We can help you to frame this tailor-made autosuggestion for you, because depending on that specific incorrect habit you have. And the second is you can do some self-healing remedy. See, what happens is sometimes we have incorrect behaviors or incorrect action. So sometimes it probably due to our incorrect impressions, no? But sometimes it can be strengthened, stronger, because negative energy can also use it, our disadvantage. So that's why chanting God's name is important. We can do salt water remedy. We can also do this nyas posture, mudra. It can be at the level of the mid-broad chakra here, or the heart chakra, 1 centimeter above plexus. Why? Because at that time, if there is an influence from negativity, it will help to reduce those incorrect action. But more important, we have to tackle it at all levels. See, let's say you just do chanting, then it will take time. But if you do chanting, you do some healing remedy like salt water, nyas, and you specifically take auto-suggestions, then you will be able to, the problem will start reducing. We have many seekers who overcome different incorrect habits by doing auto-suggestions and self-healing remedy. We have, if you can visit on our website, we have a page of testimony of different seekers who overcome different bad habits or negative behavior. There is another question from Supercool321. Namaskar, I'm very scared of doing meditations because different kind of experience every few days. I want to start it, but what to do? I see white light. How to protect chanting? Religion are man-made. Ritual, spirituality has only one kind, which can make you one with God. Pure ritual to maintain harmony with nature and life energy on earth. Okay, so what you can do, see, when it comes to meditation, no? Sometimes when we try to meditate, sometimes we may be able to meditate, sometimes some find difficulties, or they feel sometimes the negative energy can also interfere in meditation. So what actually chanting God's name is one easy way, because it can be done anywhere, anytime, and you can repeat the divine name as per your religion of birth. Otherwise, you can repeat the universal chant also. I will just go back to the live panel. Okay. There is nobody currently in the live panel, so I'll just go back. There is a question from Swati. What aim we have to keep while doing spiritual practice? Like we have to attain the 60% spiritual level. Please correct my thoughts. See, actually, Swati, for everybody it is different. So some come to spirituality while their aim is to overcome problems. Some they come to spirituality because they are curious about spirituality, about the knowledge. And some they are curious or they want to grow spiritually. Some they want to merge with God, they want to experience God. So everybody aim is different. So that's why you can see what is bringing you to spirituality, what is the main thought. But ultimately, see, what is the main objective? We are born for two reasons. First is to go through destiny and experience happiness and unhappiness. And the second is to make spiritual progress. So whatever is from what we come, whether it is overcoming problems, curiosity, want to grow, or want to merge with God, more important is when we come to spirituality, we should practice it, because spirituality is a science of practice. And then if we put into practice, then we are bound to make spiritual progress. There's another question from Om. Which name of God is most powerful? Which principle of God should I invoke? If I want to gain spiritual powers, see these. I want to gain powers to help people in the world. So Om, here you have two questions and you have a good aim. I want to gain power to help people, means you want to help people. That is a good aim. But I want to gain power that is actually, it can become harmful in our spiritual journey. So when you call about spiritual powers, it is called siddhis. It's having supernatural powers. So what happens when somebody practices spirituality? They grow spiritually. When somebody reach 50% spiritual level, then they start having energy. It's called Shakti. Some positive energy is there. So some ability can be developed. Some people are able to see what will happen tomorrow. Some people are able to heal others because they have energy in the hand. but to understand that this ability can be harmful or detrimental to one person. Because what happened, the person starts to get stuck in that, and they start developing ego. I'm doing, I can do that. And that is the opposite of spiritual progress. So what happened? Person, instead of progressing spirituality, become vulnerable to negative energy and can drop spiritually. So that is one of the main pit in spiritual progress, that many people get diverted once they start practicing spirituality by all this illusory experience that the person get. And then instead of continuing practicing spirituality, they focus on different directions. So that's why the aim to grow spiritually or to practice spirituality is not to gain power, but to become humble, to be able to merge to God. Otherwise, what happens is going in the different directions. So the aim is good. The aim that I want to help people, that is a noble aim. And actually, when you grow spiritually to a higher level, then only you will be able to help others. Mean God will be able to help through you. But for that, it should be God, no? Otherwise, it's me only, I. And it's just ego only. That is the other side. And then instead of growing, we go down spiritually. There's another question from Parisa. Can we enjoy beauty of the full moon night by going outside and walking during the night? So Parisa, about new moon and full moon, we have an article that explains about the effect of moon on men. And actually during new moon and full moon, the activity of negative energy is much more. At that time, there are many more are experiencing sometimes more negativity, more struggle, more restlessness. So that's why we recommend, it is better to avoid looking at new moon brightness, or if actually during new moon and full moon, this is when we should do more spiritual practice. So better not to look at the full moon, but better to chant or practice spirituality. There is another question from Avni Chatre. I want to be a full-time seeker, so I had a question in my mind. How can I prepare my mind to step out of my comfort zone? So Avni, that is a nice aim, that you want to become a full-time seeker, and to practice spirituality only. So let's see how to go out of my comfort zone. So what is my comfort zone? There are a few types. One is my physical comfort zone. I like this comfort, I like to dress up nice, or I like to eat this particular food. So we can start working on it to reduce it, to live more a simple way of life. And the comfort zone are in our mind, on mind level. What I like to do, what I like to listen, how I like to behave, or how people should behave with me. So we can start working to reduce that also. And that is working on overcoming defect within oneself. That helps us to reduce comfort zone more at mind level, because that is more important. Physical comfort zone is one aspect, but mind comfort zone is what we want to overcome and reduce. Then we are able to do more spiritual practice. There's another question from Dorothy Simpson. What meant in dream when a husband come to you in spirit talking? So Dorothy's, if I understood your questions, you mean that in your dream you see your husband coming and like a spirit is talking. So see, there are two things that can happen when we try to sleep. Negative energy try to frighten us. So they can take form of somebody we know or we are close to make us scared. So at that time, whether you are aware or not, some people are aware during dream, and then you can pray and chant. So usually what happens, negativity try to scare us and give us nightmares. So they try to disrupt our sleep. So just to pray and chant, not to worry. So from Aryan, if your religion is Sikh religion, is it better to chant vaheguru or with a W, vaheguru? Now that is a good question. I think I will ask these questions to exactly that denomination. What exactly is that name? As a pronunciation, may probably be the same, vaheguru, but how it is said, I will ask this question and come back to you. If you can, Aaron, we'll see how we can come back to you. If you can write on our live chat, Aaron, and we will come back to you and answer your questions. There is another question from Parames Anand. Should I chant all mantras of main deity or just focus on one? So just to see, Parames is actually we should chant one name. See, because ultimately more important is we are born just to understand the principle. We are born in a specific religion for initially our spiritual progress. So initially we should repeat that name as per the religion we are born. After that, otherwise we can chant the universal chant. So we recommend you to chant one name, which principle we are deficient in. So that chant we should chant. Or otherwise, we also suggest, let's say, the name of Shri Gurudev Datta. But just to understand this name is a prescribed chant. It's not a permanent chant. It is to chant for some time. So if some people don't have problem by departed ancestors, they don't need to chant Shri Gurudev Datta. For those who have problem caused by departed, they should change Shri Gurudev Datta. So I will explain, let's say you don't have problem by departed ancestors and you keep chanting Datta. It will be of no use. It will not help you. So instead of wasting time, you should chant another chant that will make you progress. So you understand this principle that depending on what is our problems due to destiny or our principle, in which principle we are lacking. So if we repeat some chant we like, it may not be helpful to us. Let's say I'm going to doctor, no? And doctor say I'm having this problem. So okay, I will choose this medicine. It will not help me, no? I should take the medicine where I have a deficiency. Let's say vitamin B or vitamin C. So like that it is in spirituality. I will say I will repeat all name of God. It will not help me. Instead is which chant I should chant. And then if you chant that chant, then you make progress because the chant is accurate. It will help you. So you understand, in spirituality, that is one of the mistake of people. They think, let me do what I like, what I understand. So it is spirituality as per mind only. Ultimately, in spirituality, it is a science of complete science. All of us are made of sattva, raja, and tama. Our constitution is different. Our cosmic elements are different. So what are I'm deficient in? What is my spiritual level? So depending on which chant and spiritual practice I do, then ultimately then I will make progress. Otherwise, some people, what happen? They keep on chanting all life the wrong chant, and then they remain where they are. They don't make progress. There is a question from Krishna Tej. My wife is currently pregnant. She has a question. What can the parents to do spirituality incline the fetus apart from chanting regularly? See, actually, when usually a wife is pregnant, then it is better to try to do activities that are positive. So let's say, so to overcome incorrect habits, because see, let's say somebody smoke, drink. I'm just giving example. At that time, it attract no negativity. So let's say chanting God's name. At that time, when your wife is chanting, she can place her palm on her stomach, on her navel, and she can chant God's name. At that time, instead of playing Bollywood song or any type of song, at that time you can play holy song sung by saints. Let's say bhajans, holy song, devotional song. Also, we can read stories of saints because they can hear, no? So we can read story of saints or doing positive activity. So like that, then we create a positive environment. So whatever your wife is doing, and yourself also, see, yourself also should do, as a husband, should also do positive activity. Then there is more positivity in the house. So it becomes conducive for that new soul to come. From Yolanda Cosma, is God an energy or a living being that live on a higher dimension, but capable of being everywhere simultaneously? I'm trying to imagine God, but it is almost impossible. Actually, Yolanda, we are trying to understand God by intellect. So of course, we would like to understand how God looks like, how he looks like, what he does. So actually, one of the seekers one time came to India and met the source of inspiration of SSRF. His name is Dr. Atavali. And said, I would like to meet God. So because Param Puja fondly, he said, then if you meet God, what will you say? Hi, hello, how are you? See, God is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. God is absolute truth, absolute knowledge, and absolute bliss. He is everywhere. It is everything. We can't just understand by intellect. Spirituality is to be experienced. In spirituality, 98% is about experience, 2% is just knowledge. So when we practice spirituality and continue making progress, then what happens? We start experiencing bhav, spiritual emotion. Then we start experiencing bliss. And bliss is far, far superior than anything else. There is nothing beyond bliss. And that is by itself experiencing God's presence. At that time, we don't have any questions in mind how God look like, because you feel God is with you. You experience God's presence. There's another question from Maria Josefa Narita. On my way to go home, I always chant, but I cannot tolerate with the distress on the bus. I want to continue to chant, but it is too much. So Maria Josefa, what you can do now, if you find difficult to chant, you can listen to the chant. And if you feel it has become too difficult, then you can focus on your own breath at that time. I don't know if you are aware of the different self-healing remedy, like salt water remedy, box remedy, nyas remedy, that will help you. Of course, in bus you can do it at home. But once you chant and you find too difficult to chant, or because you spend too much distress, at that time focus on your own breath. There's another question from V. Monet. So God names meaning the specific God you resonate with, because there are many deities. What is proper term you feel regarding the Most High? What do you feel about extraterrestrial beings of higher dimension? And what are they in the midst of things and the role they play within the universe, such as Anunnaki reptilians? and Larian. I'm not aware of all those names. I understand what you say. See, ultimately, there are one universe, many universe, and we are resident, we are human beings on earth, and on earth we are experiencing happiness and unhappiness. So your question you are asking is understandable, but it is theoretical. Will it help you to make spiritual progress, or will it help you to experience happiness? See, as a human being, no, we should feel happy. We should experience happiness all the time. That is important. And for that, we have to practice spirituality. Otherwise, not to get lost in those different, otherwise we keep on studying. No? See, in spirituality, spiritual science, it's infinity. It will be infinite to look at different aspects, different knowledge, but we get lost in it. Instead, we should work on ourselves, overcoming bad habit within oneself. Try to experience God within. Then we will experience God's connections. Then after, we don't feel the need to understand so many because we feel happy now from inside. There's another question from Om. How many mantras can we listen and chant a day to get the benefit? Ultimately, it is best to try to repeat. See, let's say, I don't know which chant you are doing. As I say, usually we should try to chant one name. After, if the person is facing problem caused by the experiences, then they can repeat the second name. But we should try to repeat one name. Listening to many mantras may not help us. This is what I shared before. So what chant will help me to overcome my problem or my distress, or to overcome, to make me connect to God? That's why ultimately we should try to chant one name and to focus on one name. Listening to many mantras may not help me so much. Actually, there were that question I could not see. Apologies. The full question is back now. So I don't know if it is the same person who asked, how many mantras can we listen and chant a day to get the benefit? So actually it was the Hare Krishna, Hare Rama mantra, which was given by Brahma for the age of Kali Yuga, the most common mantra for all purpose in life in difficulties. See this they call it this Maha mantra, no? So see, as per this path, they repeat that name. But ultimately, see, spirituality in sense of infinity, as per time, chant keep changing. So we used to chant in different yugas. We are chanting today. In 1,000 years, the chant will be different, no? Because as per time, everything keeps changing. From Krishna Teja, I think we have passed some time, but I will take one or more questions. I will just go back to the live panel. No, nobody is there on the live panel. From Krishna Teja, you say, can you please share any of your spiritual experience to inspire us? I currently see SSRF prediction on World War III coming true. How is SSRF currently helping the world on this? So just to share about this prediction that was written more than actually close to 20 years. So 16 to 17 years actually, it was written about the prediction that the difficult time that we are facing. And as we can see, it is coming to reality, the different conflict that are happening worldwide, the different natural disasters that are taking place, the change of climate change, So all this is slowly culminate and growing. So for that, that is what, see, from that we are not trying at all to create fear in others. But actually the aim is just to practice spirituality now, to work on overcoming defect within oneself, such as worry, fear, anger. Because when difficulty is there, then we are able to remain stable, calm. That's why chanting God's name is an important tool. Overcoming defect within oneself is important. Then we are able to remain calm and stable. So whatever situation we may face due to our destiny or difficult time if they come, then we'll be able to face it in a better way. So that is actually what we are trying to do. We have seeker, we are traveling in caravan around different countries in Europe. Some saints will be going to USA to give lectures also. So we are giving lectures free of charge to tell others the importance of practicing spirituality. About my spiritual experience, see, just to share, I had about Shri Gurudev Datta. So I'm French, and I experience sometimes strange phenomenon when I was 17, 18, 20 years old. I suddenly would experience coming out of my body, or I used to smoke cigarette, or have strange negative thoughts. So I felt something is abnormal, something is not normal, even though I am sound person and normal. And when I came across SSRF more than 20 years ago, at that time, they told me that I have severe case of ancestors. And as a common Frenchman and Catholic by background, even though I was not attached to my religion, I felt I could not understand this concept at all. But from inside, I had a very strong desire to repeat this divine name of Shri Gurudev Datta, even though I had no understanding, even though I could not even repeat it. And what happened at that time, I prayed to God that I can't understand. I repeat this divine name, and at that time, the divine name started to play automatically and rotating in my heart chakra. I could experience the chant was spinning in my heart chakra. And I went home. At that time, I used to live in Italy, in Milano. It was in 1999. And at that time, when I went home, I could experience some distress. I could understand something was going on. And I just make a strong resolve in my mind that I will chant this divine name as much as possible. And for almost 2 days and 2 nights, I just chant all the time. And within the third day, I felt something leaving me. And after 3 days, I took a cigarette. I could not smoke. I just quit smoking immediately at that time. And I could experience a lot of change in a very short time. So actually at that time, even though I was in Italy, I didn't know the concept of departed ancestors. I didn't know the form or the name of Shri Gurudev Datta. At that time, I got cured in a very short time. And that gave me that strong conviction that spirituality is universal, that God is omnipresent, God is everywhere. And there is just one God, one science. So that was one of my spiritual experience, Krishna. So dear Siga, it is very nice that I will maybe take a few more questions. If some of you are okay to stay, I will continue for another few minutes. From Priya, sometime when I do my sit-down chanting, I experience distress. Why is that sometime I have to eat a lot of food afterwards? So see, when you try, let's say, when it comes to distress, there are some people who don't have negative energy problem. In today's time, many people are affected to some different degree by negativity. Especially now, negativity is predominant. And if we try to practice spirituality, also negativity will try to stop us. So when we try to chant or meditate, or we try to work on ourselves, let's say overcoming defect within oneself, sometimes we may find struggle, obstructions. And then often what happens, no? Many seekers have experienced when they start sitting to chant, they get thought, oh, let me go to it. And they are not angry, but they get thought like that, distracting thoughts to stop chanting, to stop meditating. Or some they start sitting to work on overcoming one defect. And then they get, so, oh, I have to clean now. So they get distracted. So of course it is normal activity, we can say. But just to understand this, how negativity can try to take us away from spiritual practice. And especially when you try to chant and later you feel abnormal, a feeling of, let's say, hitting much more. That can be actually a sign that also distress is there, or distress can have. So at that time you can just pray more and try to chant more. So you can try to increase the chanting of Shri Gurudev Datta. There's another question from Living Wellness. I feel very angry when I think about so much evil in the world and chanting isn't helping. I just see so many horror right now. What about religious abuse? How do we approach that? See about what you are sharing, no? Living Wellness. Actually, we are what we call in Kali Yuga. In this, from the age of the universe, we have 4 eras. We are in the era in today with the worst. Human being, it has a lower spiritual level. Negative energy, it has its peak. So today there is a lot of negativity in the world. There is a lot of incorrect practice, incorrect abuses. So we can't change much of that, because this is what destiny we are facing, whether it is individual destiny or collective destiny. But what we can do, we can work on ourselves. We can work on ourselves and make spiritual progress. So at that time, then what we see, we look at the situation more with an observer stance. God is actually everywhere, but God is observing all this world. So God is in observer stance. Why? Because we created ourselves, this world. And we are born in that. So we have, by practicing spirituality, we are able to remain calm, stable, and then we remain more in observer stance. And when we grow spiritually, then we start creating positivity. And if we create positivity around where we are, then automatically the place or others become positive also. Otherwise, we get stuck, no, in all the problem, all the abuse, all the incorrect practice. Why is that? Why is that? Why is this? It is of no use. Ultimately, by practicing spirituality and growing spiritually and creating positivity within oneself, then things can change to become better. Positivity is the only way to remove negativity. From SK, is it okay to show their fault to people who are doing wrong deeds which hurt us? See, SK about working on self, no? If somebody is abusing someone, at that time, then we should not say, no, our faults. Ultimately, we should try to stand also in front of them so that they don't abuse or hurt you. So of course, that you can work on this. See, when we work on overcoming defect within oneself, no, we should be able to speak to someone who will help us, like somebody who is a seeker, because they will understand, they will not judge us or abuse. But if somebody who is close to you, then speaking of that will not help you. That person will misuse it. So we have to use now our thinking process. How to work on overcoming that defect? How can I change myself? So let's say if I have to overcome my emotionalism or my worry, fear, to whom can I speak? Who can help me? Of course, you can always see if somebody close to you is able to understand. That is always the best. That is the best thing we should do. So you can see what is possible in your situation. There's another question from Priyanka. I'm not consistent in chanting. What to do? See here, Priyanka, and we try to chant. So there is ups and down, no? So it is up, down, up, down, up, down. That is common for many. But what we can do different things that can help us at a practical level. So you put reminder on your mobile. Some people, some seekers, what they do, they put post-it, chant. So they put it in front of laptop. They put it in front of the door or the mirror. So they get reminders how to chant. It is a matter of practice. And slowly, slowly, what happens? When chanting becomes more consistent, and it becomes more automatic. But for that, we have to find ways. So I don't know what is your situation. If you are at work and you have your small own office, small lab, then you can put a post-it. If you're at home, you can put reminder, God's photos. What helps you to remind yourself from chanting? There is another question from Nabat Maruma. Why negative energy act faster than positive energy? So Nabat actually is presently negativity is much more predominant. In today's time, there is more negativity than positivity. That's why it is easier for negativity to take over. It takes time for the positivity because the negative is much more than positive today. In today's time, how many people practice spiritual practice? How many people don't have any negative energy? It's less. So it takes time. In big cities, there is no positivity at all. So if we try to create positivity within oneself, it takes time because it's like being in darkness, no? A small bulb. But not to worry. Why? Because see, God is most powerful than any negative energy. God is a creator of everything. But ultimately, God is in one person. God is in everybody. But if we have to practice spirituality, chanting God's name. When you chant God's name, you attract that principle within yourself. Name, form, and energy coexist. So when you chant God's name, wherever you are, God will be there. And then it's a matter of time to create positivity and to make our home positive. So if you are able to create positivity within yourself, and after you are able to create positivity within your home, then you are protected. And wherever you are, chanting God's name will protect you. From Ankita, there's another question. How to create healthy boundary with people? How to balance my energy? See, how to create healthy boundaries or how to have good communication with others. See, what is the interference between healthy boundaries? See, there are two aspects. Now, there is destiny, of course, between one another. Or how what we do, we stay close to those with whom we feel okay, and we run away for those who hurt us or for those who are not nice. But sometimes we cannot choose depending on the situations, work or family members. Sometimes we can't avoid it. So the best is again to focus on oneself. See, let's say, I will give you an example. Now, I have to communicate with someone and I speak with ego, let's say, I'm right. And the person in front of me will also react with ego. It's action-reaction, no? But if I'm calm, humble, more humility, and I speak more with introversion, the person may react with ego also. That is very possible. Or the person may act in the same manner, same action, same reactions. Why I'm saying is because many seekers, what they have experienced, when they started working on themselves, they started to change. And then what they realize and experience that others around them started changing. So they realize that some colleague at work or family started to behave in a better way because it's, see how we behave now, people react to us also. So that is the way. If we focus on ourselves, try to change how we speak, how we behave, then automatically response will also change. Sometimes it will not change depending on the destiny of the person. But this is what is in our hand that we can change. From Vimoni, there is another question. What is the proper term to call God when it comes to chanting? See, when we say about God is ultimately one, no? But there are many principles. So as per religion, every name is actually a principle. So if we repeat that name as per that religion, we imbibe that principle within oneself. There's another question from Enlightened Mind. Are religion really in hierarchy? I mean, every time era has a certain prophet and certain spiritual practice. Why bad things always happen to good people? Also, why good people pass away early? How to deal with a person with mental problem resulting from black magic? And how to deal with close evil relatives? So, unless you ask many questions, see, when it comes to the different era, actually what happened now? Every era, everybody was at a certain spiritual level. So at that time, the religion was different or the teaching was different because in Satya Yuga, it was a path of knowledge. At that time, there were no need of any spiritual master because everybody was enlightened. There were no religion, just one religion. And when it went further, went down, then started to slowly divide different religion, different path. And more we go down, more path, more religions, more divisions. This is how it is. And it is not like that whether people are good or they live more. It depends on destiny. So it depends on, in today's time, negative energy prevail more than positivity. Those who may be more positive may find difficult because today we are in Kali Yuga, no? So negativity is more presently. So that's why whatever has a problem, whether it is called by black magic, whether it is because of destiny, ultimately spiritual practice is important. Chanting God's name, self-healing remedy. So whatever is the cause of the problem, it can be either because of negative energy or destiny. This is the two main factors in human being. In negative energy, there are many aspects, black magic, ancestor problem, ghost, higher negative energy. It depends. And then specific destiny. Solutions are two, there are two problems. Solution is healing remedy regarding problem caused by negative energy or black magic. The solution is healing remedy, chanting God's name, and different self-healing remedy. And for whatever is destiny, spiritual practice, overcoming defect of personality. So actually, when it comes to spiritual solution, there is no thousands. It's one or two only. Same in today's time, we feel there are thousands of problems, but the causes was destiny or negative energy. So solutions also are like that. There's another question. We have 3 more questions remaining. It is from Om. How to reach 100% spiritual level? This SSRF finds the most powerful temple through spiritual research. See, how to reach 100 spiritual level. That is the ultimate, no? It's what we call moksha. The person is merging to God. See, ultimately it should be, how can I reach stability? It is nice, no? It's a good thing. How can I reach, how to reach 100 spiritual level? But first is, how can I reach 50% spiritual level? How can I reach calmness? How can I reach inner connections? How can I reach to have no defect within oneself? That is something we should try to put in front of us, then we can achieve it. Reaching 100% is very high, no? It's a good aim, but that's a long-term goal. Ultimately, we should try to put on practical what I can achieve today and what I can overcome today. SSRF didn't do any research on trying to find the spiritual temple, and we have not done research on that. From Gita, Nilam, what is light meditation? So from Gita, there are different types of meditation. Some they say you chant and try to concentrate on the light. So ultimately, it can be a practice that one sees somebody when you practice meditation for a long time, then you are able to go to some higher level of concentration, and you may experience different type of for some they may be able to see light, some they may be able to feel inner connection. But here it can be also one danger. If somebody is not practicing spirituality or is not at a higher level, some people can get affected through meditation. That means when the person tries to meditate, negative also can enter. It has happened. We have witnessed different cases because people also try to meditate at night. So that can be dangerous. So we recommend don't do meditation at night, or don't try to do meditation at night during new moon, full moon, more harmful. That's why chanting God's name is safe, even though meditation is a correct practice. But in today's time, because what happens when person try to meditate, they open, and if they don't have spiritual protection, then negative energy can enter. But in chanting God's name, there is no danger at all. Why? Because the name will protect only. Repeating God's name is attracting that divine energy. So there is protective shield. In meditation, there is not protection like that. Only when the person reaches a high level, that is different. So I will just share a few comments from Tamara. Thank you for answering my question. I will practice autosuggestions according to the PDA process. From Adrian Vera, okay, you say the voice calm you. From Sam Fritz, for one period of life, my mind was very positive. I tried to return there. This was the most peaceful, clear, and full of love for all I have experienced in this life. Hare Krishna. So there is one more question that just came from Living Wellness. The data chant hasn't helped me at all. It just make me feel worse for 2 weeks. Why is that? So actually, that is a very good question, and that is a very good reaction, because that means it works. See what happens when somebody has problem caused by departed ancestor or negative energy. When they will start repeating a divine name or a divine name like Sri Gurudev Datta, usually what happens is the classic symptoms. The persons may start finding very difficult. Why? Because at that time, what happened? No? The departed ancestor or negativity is troubled by the positivity of the chant. So the person struggle at that time. Not, and especially the negative energy is not, this is what happened, no? Negative energy is hiding here. They are invisible. That's why they are able to affect us, because they are invisible. And then they fulfill their wishes, or they can act as per without our notice. But the moment you start chanting, what happens? Positivity start growing. And then if they are there, they start getting disturbed, no? Then they start troubling. So that's a very good sign. And that is a common mistake that the person does. What does they do? They stop. So actually to understand that the moment we repeat a divine name and we experience this struggle, that is a very good sign. It's just a question of time. So to continue, and then after some time, that negative energy will lose power. But initially they start fighting. So living wellness, do not stop, continue. If you find difficult, stop for some time and again start. That's a good sign, that's a positive sign. So dear seeker, I hope you learned something today from our live stream session. There is actually a full moon coming, I think, tomorrow or day after. So I encourage you to continue with your spiritual practice. And we will have also more workshop. We also have the collective chanting meditation that is on Tuesday and on Saturday, that is at 6 p.m. CET, Central European Time. If some of you would like also, tonight, as per USA time, Rolines Bhavna Shinde will also have the same session like me about question and answer. So if you have more questions, you can come to her live stream. That will be, it will start at 6 p.m. as per Los Angeles time. So this is as per US and Canada time. So everyone is welcome. There is always, you can always ask questions on our live chat also. You can please continue reading or visiting our website. We keep updating new videos on our YouTube channel or also on our website. And you can always also, if you wish to support us, you can also donate on our website. So dear seeker, I wish you a blissful day or evening and hope to see you soon again in our next live stream. Namaskar.